As everything begins with the gods, offer a libation to Hestia and pray. A child of the immortals offers fire to the immortals. O blessed Hestia, mistress of fire and light, flesh of my soul, bring into my home your divine fire. Let my house partake of your wisdom, love, and power. O blessed Hestia, be welcome in my home. So before we get into chapter 19 of On the Gods in the World, everyone, if you haven't seen my last video, I was joined again by Monty Plaisance, who he discussed his upcoming Kickstarter program for the re-release of Scrolls of Manetho. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. The Kickstarter will actually go into effect and be active on December 21st. Now, moving on to chapter 19 of On the Gods in the World, we will look at why there is no immediate punishment for those who are guilty of serious transgressions. Now, the lack of immediate punishment for offenders, particularly those guilty of serious transgressions, should not really be a surprise to us. This delay does not mean that there is an absence of justice, but it is a reflection of the complexity and depth of the mechanisms by which wrongdoing is addressed. Looking beyond external agents of retribution, such as those daemons who are said to exact punishment on the soul of the offenders, there exists a profound and self-inflicted justice. Souls themselves, who are burdened by the weight of their actions from their mortal life, impose suffering upon themselves as an intrinsic consequence of their own guilt. This inner torment is not simply punitive, but it serves a much deeper purpose, aligning with the metaphysical principle that justice unfolds in accordance with the nature of the offense itself. Moreover, it would not be appropriate and would be disproportionate for those whose guilt is so much that they are destined to suffer eternally or to undergo punishment that is fleeting or confined to just a short period. The gravity of their transgressions demands a response equal to the offense, one that transcends temporal boundaries and reflects the full scope of their moral failings. This perspective places an emphasis on the idea that punishment is not arbitrary, but is intrinsically tied to the nature and gravity of the offense. Such an understanding clarifies the apparent delay in retribution with the broader framework of cosmic justice, where the timing and scope of consequences are harmonized with the order of the universe. For human virtue to exist, it requires the presence of free will and the capacity to choose righteousness without compulsion. If the guilty were simply punished immediately for their offenses, the fear of that swift retribution would dominate over human behavior, and it would leave very little room for genuine moral development. People may act justly, but their actions would stem from self-preservation and the avoidance of suffering, and not from a true commitment to cultivating virtue. This reliance on external deterrence would undermine the essence of moral integrity, as virtue must arise from an inner conviction and not merely a reaction to external pressures. Human virtue thrives on the ability to see right from wrong and to act accordingly, even in the absence and without fear of immediate consequences. The delay of punishment creates the necessary space for individuals to cultivate this virtue through reflection, personal growth, and the conscious choice to pursue what is good. This framework of delayed consequences, of true morality, is tested and refined. Without it, human behavior would risk becoming transactional, driven by fear rather than by any authentic commitment to ethical principles. Let's look at Christianity as an example of this, particularly see this a lot in Catholicism. How many people do you know that attend church on Sundays to simply repent for their alleged sins because they believe that by doing so, the so-called slate is wiped clean? I have met quite a lot of people who practice like this. This lacks any genuine desire for the cultivation of virtue. They simply react to the fear of eternal damnation in a lake of fire. Furthermore, the absence of immediate punishment allows for the complexities of human actions and intentions to be fully considered. Justice within both the divine realms and our mortal realm is a nuanced process that often requires time to unfold appropriately. This delay underscores the importance of cultivating virtue for its own sake rather than a tactic to avoid suffering. Therefore, the postponement of retribution is not a flaw in the moral order, but a necessary condition for the development of genuine human virtue, ensuring that justice operates not merely as a deterrent, but as a catalyst for moral excellence. The soul departing from the physical body marks a critical transition in the journey of existence. It is a moment when the consequences of a life lived come into full effect. For some souls, the punishment they face immediately after death reflects their earthly deeds, as they remain bound to the regions near the physical world. These wandering souls are tethered to this plane of existence and are unable to ascend higher to find peace as they are haunted by the attachments within their lives, regrets, and unresolved guilt. Their aimless movement across familiar terrains shows their inability to break free from the weight of their past actions and serves as a form of spiritual penance. Other souls are drawn to specific regions of extreme conditions, symbolically reflective of their inner state. These realms, seen as hot or cold, are perhaps envisioned as fiery infernos or barren, icy wastelands, mirroring the intensity of their moral and spiritual disarray. Such locations act as environments of purification or suffering, designed to bring about recognition and atonement for their transgressions. The vivid imagery of these places serves to emphasize the alignment between the nature and their transgressions and the character of their punishment, underscoring the universal principle that suffering must correspond to the offense. Additionally, there are souls subjected to the torment of avenging daemons, those entities tasked with delivering justice on a metaphysical level. These daemons are impartial and relentless in their duties, as they embody the forces of cosmic order, ensuring that every soul faces the repercussions of its moral failings. The punishment they administer is not arbitrary, but tailored to the specific guilt of the soul, intended to restore balance to the moral fabric of existence. This torment by avenging spirits symbolizes the external enforcement of justice, complementing the internal suffering that souls may impose upon themselves. Collectively, these forms of posthumous punishment highlight the multifaceted nature of cosmic justice. They reveal a system that addresses the diversity of human wrongdoing through varied and proportionate means, whether through wandering, environmental suffering, or the actions of daemons. The soul's journey after death reflects an intrinsic process of accountability, redemption, and the pursuit of ultimate harmony within the universe. Within the cosmic order, the rational soul, endowed with reason and the capacity for moral discernment, cannot escape the consequences of its actions when paired with the irrational soul, which embodies the desires, passions, and impulses that often lead to these transgressions. The punishment experienced by the rational soul is intrinsically tied to its partnership with the irrational soul, as the latter influences decisions and behaviors that violate ethical principles. This union reflects the duality within human nature, where reason and impulse coexist, often in tension with one another. The rational soul bears the weight of guilt for succumbing to the irrational, and together they endure the repercussion of their shared misdeeds. This dynamic interplay between the rational and irrational souls gives rise to the phenomenon of the shadowy body, a subtle spectral form that persists after physical death. This shadowy body, sustained by the unresolved actions and desires of the irrational soul, is said to linger around tombs and graves, particularly of those individuals who led lives characterized by indulging in vice. Such individuals, having allowed their irrational impulses to dominate their rational judgment, leaving behind an imprint of their unresolved existence. This shadowy body, therefore, symbolizes the lingering effects of a life unbalanced by unchecked desires and unexamined choices. The haunting presence of these shadowy forms serves as a reminder of the consequences of neglecting the higher faculties of reason and virtue. They are not simply remnants of the deceased, but rather manifestations of the unfinished moral and spiritual work that the soul must confront. The proximity of these forms to burial sites is a reflection of their attachments to the material world and the passions that tethered them to it during life. For those who have lived virtuous lives, such attachments dissipate, allowing their soul to ascend. But for the abandoned, their shadowy bodies remain as echoes of their moral failings within their lives. This relationship between the rational and irrational souls and the shadowy body they give rise to highlights the importance of harmony and self-mastery within this life. The rational soul must guide and temper the irrational to ensure that actions align with virtue rather than vice. Failure to achieve this harmony result in a dual suffering, one that continues beyond death and serves as a testament to the enduring consequences of moral neglect. The shadowy body, therefore, stands as both a warning and a call to cultivate balance and integrity in the interplay of reason and desire. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you really want to help, share this video to help get the channel out there. If you haven't done so, come join the Discord server. You can find the invite link in my link tree in the description of all of my videos. But until next time, Salate.